for the NIRF ranking. So generally summing up, I spoke to you about the need for rankings. See, I was telling you that, ranking and accreditation are things that you cannot avoid. You have to go through that processes. It's something we cannot avoid in today's world. And I was telling you that, you may like it or you may hate it, but you simply cannot ignore rankings or accreditation. And having said that, all these rankings, accreditation have a lot of benefits that accrue to the institution, because your reputation increases, your visibility increases, your connections, your globalization, your collaboration, you're able to attract better students, better faculty, you're able to attract collaborators from agencies, research agencies, foreign universities, foreign students. All these things, there is a kind of a domino effect because of securing good rankings and good accreditation. I also told you, there is no perfect system for any rankings for whatsoever. But then there are some, the pointers are there. So if you see I was telling you that the NIRF rankings every year they have been improving. There is no doubt about the fact that they have, been improving in every year. They have been improving. That's what I kind of told you, and I also covered the various aspects of the ranking. And we during the questions, at least we had some discussion on what all you can do to improve your ranking footprint, your accreditation footprint, and so on. So today I'm going to talk to you about the IQAC, how the IQAC of an institution has to play a very important role in all aspects of the institution, so as to speak. In all aspects, the IQAC can play a very important role, and how the IQAC can be a very important appendage of the college, of the institution, of the university, how it can engage in a lot of proactive activities, and so on. So, as mentioned, I was associated with at the university level IQAC for almost a decade. I was the vice chair for 8 years and almost the chair for two plus years. And we completed 2 cycles of accreditation. The third cycle also we almost completed, except for the visit, which is still pending. And last November, December, I stepped down from the university level IQAC chair, but I continue to chair the IQAC of the biggest campus of the Amrita University, that is the Coimbatore campus. I continue to chair the IQAC for that, and we coordinating the NAC, NBA, NIRF. All these activities are being coordinated by me, and because I was involved in a very big way, at the university level, I continue to support, even though I'm not fully responsible. I continue to support the ranking and accreditation center. So I kind of stressed upon this in the last. There's a small typo error here. Anyway, the stressed upon the importance of documentation in the last presentation also. But I'm again repeating that process. In God we trust, but for everything else we need data, and the data needs to have evidences. There is a small is missing here, but just. So anything and everything we do, whether it is academics, whether it is administrative activities, financial activities, whether it is student activities, student engagement, clubs, cultural activities, sports activities, innovation activities, research activities, anything and everything, the bedrock, the foundation rests on having accurate and proper documentation. We need to have accurate and proper documentation for all the activities that we are doing. Otherwise, it's a problem. So we need to have proper activity documentation, data, and evidences. So for anything and everything, the data is required, and the data needs to be supported by the proper evidences. And we can see the types also. And I also stressed that this is more highly required in India, because of the fact that in India we have a separate accreditation agency, a separate ranking agency, a separate what is that, a statutory body, and a separate regulatory body. All are separate, and in such a situation we have to definitely bank on the documentation for all these uh, aspects. Now maybe moving forward, maybe this situation may change, and we even yesterday there was some news item that the entire all these regulatory agencies are going to be combined. We hope so, statutory and regulatory bodies, but as of now it has not happened. And as and when it happens, it may be a change, but then we are still in a regime of over regulation, and let's hope that this over regulation at least changes moving forward. Now, the IQAC has to play a very, very important role in the future of any institution. Now, if you see this slide, a very important aspect that I want to stress upon is that I want to stress upon the roles of an IQAC. Give me a minute. Are you able to see some pointers, some writing on the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, if you see this thing, the IQAC has to play a very important support role in the future of an institution. Now, here I want to stress upon that. See, the IQAC can be a very proactive entity in the in academics, in research, in governance, in administration, in extension activity. IQAC can do a lot of activities that align to the vision and the mission of the organization. As you know, a vision is something that it is in a long term perspective or a medium term perspective, maybe 6 to 15 years. A mission is perhaps a little more short term to medium term, maybe 2 to 5 years. And every institution needs to have a vision and a mission. Rather, every department needs to have a mission and a vision. And the IQAC can proactively be an enabler of activities that align the department or the college into the path towards achieving the mission, and then later the vision. So IQAC can play a lot of roles in this regard. It can get involved in academics, administration, innovation, research, governance, activities towards the vision, activities towards the mission and the vision. And IQAC has essentially to play a support role in this aspect. It's a support role. Now, if you see this, I showed you that there is an arrow. I put this arrow like this. It is a support thing, and it is nothing but a support role. Many of you probably are from NAC accredited colleges and universities. Many of you might have already got experience in NAC accreditation. Many of you have probably gone through the manual of NAC. And perhaps if you read the manual of NAC, you may find out a slight disconnect. Again, see, I am giving you, this is my personal opinion. As I mentioned, this is not my institutional opinion. I'm only giving you my personal perspective. Having worked on this for almost a decade, more than a decade rather. It's not my institutional opinion. It is my own personal opinion. So I have been seeing that perhaps if you read the manual, there is a slight disconnect between the ground reality. And to some extent you may understand that in certain things the IQAC is deemed to be doing things that fall under the domain of the college management. Perhaps that kind of pointer is there in the manual. Now I will give you some examples. Most of us are from private institutions. Most of us, I believe probably all of us are from, almost all of us are from private institutions. I'm asking you a question. Which private institution will permit an IQAC to get involved in financial planning or financial audit? I don't think any private institution will allow that, including my own. Which private institution will permit an institution, an administrative kind of audit? I don't think anybody will permit that. I'll give you another example. At the end of a semester or at the end of a trimester, if you are in an MBA college, you may be following a trimester system. If you are in an engineering or an arts or sciences college, you might be following a semester system. In some cases, it may be an annual system. Either way, at the end of every semester or trimester or year, the faculty are rated, or feedback of the faculty is given by the students. It is more a feedback of the teaching process, the course delivery, and all aspects of that particular iteration of the course taken by the faculty. I'm sure all the institutions do that. Now, my question is, those institutions which are doing this kind of feedback, do you think that feedback of the faculty is definitely a confidential information? Now, how did you take the course in the last 6 months? Last semester, which all courses, and what is the feedback that the students have given you? Right? Now, that is a confidential information. You are required to know it so that you can improve. Your department HOD or your department chairperson may know. Maybe the head of the institution, the principal or the director or the dean, the head of the institution may know. Maybe this information, if your college or university has got an HR department, maybe the HR department may know. But what I'm trying to say is that this information remains in the private domain and is actually known to only these 4 or 3 or 4 stakeholders. You as a faculty, your department HOD, your college principal, and HR of your college. Maybe through the college principal, the management may also know. But what I'm trying to say, this is a private, or this is not a information in the public domain. Now, how can this be in the public domain? Obviously, no IQAC will be able to interfere in that process. Maybe an IQAC can give suggestions. Do they, have a feedback system which can consider these inputs? Those things are all perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, no institution will permit this kind of this thing. So that's what I'm trying to say. My personal opinion is that there is a slight disconnect with respect to the with that kind of input with respect to an IQAC. That IQAC can do a lot of things. IQAC can involve in all activities of the institution, but there are certain things that probably no management will permit an IQAC to do. I've given you some examples, like an administrative audit, or a financial planning, or a financial audit, no principal or dean would want this information to be in the public domain. Then there will be so much of gossiping and grapevine about, oh, that faculty did not get a good review. Maybe it may spread. That's a different thing. But what I'm trying to say is the general understanding is that faculty feedback by the students, an appraisal of a faculty, is in the confidential domain. It should only be known by the particular faculty, the head of the department, the principal, or the management. things may leak out and these things may be gossip. No, that's a different thing, but generally these things are in the not in the public domain. So there are limitations to what an IQAC. Certain things that you have to leave to the college management. There are certain things, but there are a lot of things that an IQAC can do. And there are a huge lot of things that an IQAC can do. IQAC can proactively support the institution in a lot of activities, in a lot of initiatives, and make a real change, make a real impact in all aspects of the institution. That IQAC can definitely do. And IQAC can involve in all the activities, whatever be the activities, it can get involved. Now, the vision of the IQAC should, the activities that an IQAC does should fall in two buckets. There are two thrust areas or two buckets of activities what an IQAC has to do. At one level, you are already, maybe you might have got NAC accreditation. If you are an MBA or an engineering college, you might have got MBA accreditation. If you are, you might have been ranked by some NIRF or some other rankings. You already have a position. One bucket of activities or one thrust area of the IQAC should be to maintain that quality, sustain that quality. That is one bucket of activities. You are trying to maintain the quality. You are trying to sustain the quality. You are not trying to upset the apple cart. You want to maintain where you are. You have got this accreditation. You have got this ranking. Now you want to maintain that. That is one trust activity, one bucket of activities. On the other side, you need to also go up. You have built a vision. You have articulated a vision. You have articulated a mission. Obviously, you want to reach that benchmark. You have put some benchmarks for yourself and you need to go aggressively to reach that benchmark. And that is why you need to focus on enhancing, improving that quality. Improving that quality also. Right? So, the IQAC activity should focus on, it should be in one of the two buckets or one of the two thrust areas. One thrust area is focusing on maintaining or sustaining the quality. Another thrust area is focusing on enhancing or improving the quality. So these two thrust areas are very, very important. Is this clear? So IQAC activities have to fall in either one of the buckets. Now, generally speaking, majority will definitely be activities towards sustaining and maintaining the quality. Obviously, you have already reached something. You have done so many things. You want to maintain those things. So majority of the activities should be in sustaining and maintaining the quality, but at least some activities should also focus on the future, focus on reaching the vision, reaching the mission, going on that pathway, on the trajectory to maintain the reach the vision and the mission. So that also should be there. Now that mix of activities, how much percentage of your activities should be focusing on maintaining the quality, how much activities should be focused on enhancing and improving the quality, that only you can figure out. But definitely you should have both. It may be in 80% sustaining activities and 20% enhancing activity, or it may be 95% maintaining and sustaining and at least 10%, 5% enhancing. But some activities should definitely be there that help you to move to the next level, to the next trajectory, to the next orbit. That is also important. And these activities should also be focused on attaining your going in one step towards your mission and your vision. That is also very important. Now look at the structure of the IQAC. So this is actually a two-tier structure. If you are you are in a college, if you are in a college, this kind of structure is what you can have. So this is a two-tier structure. You have a department IQAC and a college level IQAC. In certain cases, there may be a university level IQAC. In certain cases, there is some crosstalk. So it depends. So in most cases, it is a two-tier structure. In certain cases, it might be a three-tier structure. At the top, there is a university level IQAC. Then there could be a college level IQAC and there is a department level IQAC. It depends upon the kind of setup that you are in. But the structure is pretty important that way. Now, when you talk of a college level IQAC, there are some guidelines for creation of an IQAC. Some recommendations are given by both NAC as well as UGC. Both of them give some guidelines and some advisory on how to constitute the IQAC. Generally speaking, the college level IQAC has to be headed by the principal, generally speaking. In universities, the university level IQAC has to be chaired by the vice chancellor. This is the general understanding, but there are exceptions to the rules. See, if you take our setup, I was chairing the university level IQAC. Now, the reason was very simple. We are number one private university in India, and the university has a very clear vision that is given by our chancellor, who's Amma, the world-renowned humanitarian leader. The vision of the university is focused on societal transformation, service to the society. So that is the DNA. That is the main overarching vision. IQAC is not probably on the top and all. It may not be in that kind of priority list and all. The priorities are very different. We're starting new campuses in Delhi, or focusing on research that is helping to humanity, doing that kind of groundbreaking research. So none of these, the IQAC probably is not on the top of the stack, top of the the priority at all. But then that is the reason why probably the vice chancellor has given that to somebody else. So, but what I'm trying to say is that there is a very important, major importance to this IQAC, and generally the IQAC of a college is chaired by the principal or the dean or director, and the university IQAC is chaired by the vice chancellor. Now, in the college IQAC, a recommended composition is that it is ideal that you have all the heads of the department, all the HODs of the department could be there. That adds a lot of value. From each department, you can have 1 or 2 or 3 members, a mix of senior faculty and junior faculty, who are nothing but the coordinators of the departmental level IQAC. So college IQAC, you constitute as per the NAC guidelines. You have the principal as the head of the chair of the IQAC. You have all the HODs of the departments. You have 1 or 2 faculty members from every department inside the IQAC, and that ideally it could be a mix of senior and junior faculty. And these departmental representatives in the college level IQAC are nothing but the ones who will coordinate the department level IQAC. The department level IQAC will be obviously chaired by the department HOD or the chairperson, but the coordinators will be the same representatives. So there is a common link between the department level IQAC and the college level IQAC. The departmental coordinators of the department IQAC are also member of the college IQAC. So this is a recommended constitution. Now you can also ideally lot of data, lot of evidences, lot of things come from the support services and the administrative processes. It's ideal that you constitute your IQSC, have representatives from say the have representatives from uh, the administration, general administration officer, the uh, what is that, the librarian, the placement cell, the hostel administration, the person who coordinates sports and physical education, the person who focuses on cultural coordinator, the cultural activities, student engagement. So if it's ideal that you have representatives from these support services and support departments also. Then only it becomes little easy for you to collect and collate and work on the information. So this kind of constitution is recommended. Now NAC also recommends that you have some external representatives on the IQAC. That is a new recommendation from NAC. It's you can probably have one or two students. The students could be the college council head, or the whoever is the running the students union head, president, or somebody, or one or two members like that. And obviously when you have an IQAC meeting, the students can be invited for only the agenda items that are in the public domain. They need not be invited for all the agenda items. So you can have some student representatives, maybe the student council president or the student union head or whatever, that kind of thing. You can have some alumni representatives, these alumni who are very much attached to the alma mater, who want to contribute, who have been already contributing in whatever way possible. You can have alumni representatives. You can have some representatives from the local community, some industrialist or some community person who's helping you, who has already been supporting the college activity. It could also be an alumni, it could be a local industrialist who has been helping you with placement or internships and stuff like that. And you can also have an external expert. There is a NAC allows you to have an external expert for the IQAC. So I personally, I think the external IQAC expert for almost 10 plus colleges and universities, including Sri Venkateswara University Tirupati. I am the external expert member. And see, our job is only advisory in nature, because we once in a while, perhaps once in a year, it used to be sometimes twice in a year, once in a year, it depends upon, because ultimately there is a budget involved. You have to go there, fly down, and all that stuff is there. So it happens as per the need, maybe once in a year. In some cases 1 year they didn't call also, that also is there. But our job is only giving some advisory inputs, giving some suggestions, giving some best practices. Some of them they may be able to implement, some of them they may not be able to implement. That is fine, they are very honest about it. So that kind of constitution is recommended for a IQAC. I will repeat. You have a department IQAC will be obviously headed by the department HOD or the chairperson. Inside the department IQAC, there may be one or two coordinators who are ideally could be a mix of junior and senior faculty. And these IQAC coordinators should also be members of the college level IQAC. College level IQAC has to be constituted as per the norms suggested by NAC. Ideally, the principal can be there as the head if it is a college. If it's a university, the vice chancellor can be the chair. There can be all the heads of department. There can be these departmental IQAC coordinators. You can have a management representative also in the IQAC, somebody who is representing the owners or the promoters of the institution or the trust or the educational institutions. Then you can have some coordinators or heads of the support services and the support departments like library, placement cell. You can have representatives from sports, physical education, hostel, somebody who coordinates cultural activity. There could be a cultural coordinator. That faculty can definitely get inside. Then you can have some external members. You can have some external members like yeah. You can have some external members. The external members could be an alumni, somebody from the local community, somebody from the local industry, and so on. Those things are all highly recommended. Plus, you could also you can have some students, maybe your student union chairperson or student council head. You can invite them also for the IQAC. You can have an external expert, one or two external experts, two or three are also, it's fine. It depends upon the size of the college and the university. And the external expert can give you some best practices, some guidelines, some pointers, some help, just some suggestions. But that, mind you, the external expert is not a consultant. It is not a person who's a consultant. That is not allowed by NAC, because you have to figure it out. External expert can give you some idea, some help, but it's not a consultant. The ownership, the process has to be owned by you. It cannot be owned by a consultant or by a outside person. That is not proper. So that is the recommended structure of a IQAC that is mentioned. Now, coming to the activities of an IQAC, what all can an IQAC do? What are the activities that an IQAC can do? What all are the focus areas of the IQAC? I have already mentioned to you that, before that I go to that one. See, the IQAC can play a role in all activities. That's what I was trying to tell you. I already told you that at one level, the IQAC has to have two thrust areas. One thrust area is quality sustenance. Second thrust area should be quality improvement or quality enhancement. With that in mind, IQAC can get involved in all the activities. Perhaps an IQAC may not be able to do financial audit or administrative audit or interfere in the feedback of faculty. These things may not be allowed. But having said that, IQAC can give suggestions in all aspects. And when it gets involved in all of these, the plate is completely full. You can suggest, which are the new programs, undergraduate programs. You may get these suggestions even from the external expert or from the representatives of the alumni. Which are the hot programs, which are the things that you could improve on, UG, PG programs. Why don't we start these programs in these areas? IQAC can ensure that all the the committees are performing properly. It could be the IQAC could focus on that class committees or course committees, timetable committee, hostel committee, mess committee, students welfare committee, cultural committee, magazine committee. So the IQAC can ensure that all the committees are functioning, and the IQAC can definitely ask for periodic reports, because anyways the data is required. The IQAC can have a system wherein all these reports are plugged back to the IQAC and given to the IQAC. IQAC can involve itself in improving the quality of research, focusing on activities which I will cover a little later. IQAC can get involved in the cultural coordination, academic coordination of activities. All the academic activities the IQAC can interfere, can focus on. So actually speaking, IQAC can coordinate with the MIS. You are having an ERP system which is capturing the data, and IQAC has to get involved in that process of collecting the data, collecting the evidences, can be the repository of that. So actually speaking, an IQAC can engage itself in absolutely all the institutional functions of the institution. Every single institutional function, IQAC can get involved. That is a fact. IQAC can get involved in all the institutional functions. Perhaps there are a few things that maybe the management may not allow. Like, I give you the example of a financial audit. I gave you the example of an administrative audit. I gave you the example of a feedback of faculty, by the students. A few things IQAC. So having said that, almost 90%, that 95% what is written in the NAC manual, an IQAC can very, very proactively contribute. An IQAC can make a very big impact in all the aspects. So the IQAC can engage in all the functions. Now let us see what are the activities that an IQAC can do. I have already told you that there are two buckets. Some activities have to focus on sustaining and maintaining the quality. Some activities have to focus on improving the quality or enhancing the quality. So let us see some of the activities. So all your activities have to fall in one of these two buckets, either enhancing the quality or sustaining the quality. Enhancing is improving and sustaining is maintaining, right? Now, if you see the focus areas, one focus area could be imbibing a quality culture. Now, the very idea of an internal quality assurance cell and IQAC is that it encapsulates the idea, it encapsulates the vision, which in management we call as the quality circle, the QC. Now, if you talk of QC, what is a QC? A quality circle. Everybody and anybody works towards improvement of quality. Right from the top, from the CEO to the lowermost person, to the shop floor employee, the welder or the turner or the fitter in the factory, to the CEO, everybody is involved in improving the quality. The QC is there. So, in a way, IQAC has to be inclusive and it involves everybody. I told you in the constitution, all the department HODs are there, management representative is there, principal is there, head of the institution is there. There are few representatives in each department, and these representatives are actually running their departmental IQAC. There are representatives from the support services, the library, the placement cell, the student affairs, the cultural program, sports, all they are there. Then of course there are some external members, there are some students also. So actually speaking, the concept of the QC, the quality cell, is encapsulated by the IQAC. So the primary role of that IQAC is to imbibe a culture of quality within the institution and across all the arms of the institution. That is a very, very important objective. The very important objective is this kind of imbibing this quality culture. Now, how do you do it? You already have a college level IQAC. Now you're nurturing a college level IQAC, not only at a college level but at a department level. So you are actually encapsulating that vision of the quality circle. Now, what kind of activities can a IQAC do? I told you already there are two buckets. There is a bucket of enhancement and there is a bucket of sustenance. But what are the activities? I already also told you that IQAC can get involved in every activity except a few activities that are in the domain of the top management or the principal or the head of the institution. So IQAC can organize a lot of events. A quality day event. You can organize events that improve the quality of teaching, events that improve the quality of research, events that improve the quality of administration. I will give you examples. So seminars, workshops, training programs, software tools, demos that help improve all these aspects, improve the quality of academics, improve quality of administrative activities, improve quality of research activities, improve quality of student outreach activities. Let us see student outreach. You already have a very active NSS unit or an NCC unit. Already the NSS volunteers are going to some villages and doing some activities, right? Already it is happening. Now, can your IQAC connect this NCC or NSS activity with a massive government program called UBA, Unnat Bharat Abhiyan? Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is it's a massive government program, very well funded by the government. Can you have a connection to IQAC can organize an event? So whatever NCC or NSS activities or social service activities that you are doing, you can go on to the next level, and they will give you the funding also. Isn't that improving the quality of the extension activity, improving the student engagement? This is an example. Research. There are so many activities that you can do to improve the quality of the research. Now, I'll give you an example. How to write a paper that get indexed in a top journal with high impact factor. How to select journals. Many of us don't know. What are the metrics that make us select a journal? What are the metrics that that you have to look before you select a journal? How are these research indicators and outcomes calculated? How do you apply for a patent? How do you prepare an award, a successful research proposal? You need tips for that. You may be very good technically, but if you get some tips on how to write these things, it really helps. How to be a proper PhD guide. I think that's a very important thing. Many of us complain, oh, that student is not doing, he's still stuck for 7 or 8 years. So if you ask me, you should not blame the student. You should blame the faculty who's guiding, because it is equally the responsibility of the faculty to help to guide the student. You can't just blame the student. No, student is. Please understand, the student might have decided to come for a part-time or a full-time PhD, sacrificing so many things, and it is the job of the faculty to guide properly. And if there is no progress, it is not the student's fault alone. It is also the guide's fault. You cannot just absolve out of it. So how do you guide a PhD student properly? What are the milestones? What are the do's and the don'ts? What are the things that you can do? If you get some sort of orientation on that, it really helps. So IQAC can do that. If you are a computer science department, IQAC need not organize a Python workshop, but IQAC can organize an outcome-based education workshop. IQAC can very nicely organize an outcome-based education workshop that help you improve the quality of your teaching. How to write proper course outcomes, how to write proper program-specific outcome, how to link the CEOs and the POs and PSOs. These things are, if you get some guidance, it's nothing like it. It's really helpful. Right? So, administration. Your hostel wardens, you give them some training on Tally. Half the job, maybe your accounts department will be grappled with this hostel fees and hostel stuff and mess bill and stuff. Why don't you train your hostel wardens to operate on Tally? They may be able to do it, and your accounts department will only be, happy. Give them some tools. Give them some, stuff. So what I'm trying to say is that IQAC can play a very, very important role in imbibing a quality culture. IQAC can play a very important role in nurturing IQACs at a college level, at an institutional level, at a department level. IQAC can focus on a lot of activities, seminars, workshops, training programs, software tools, demos and stuff, which help the quality of teaching, quality of research, quality of student activities, the quality of administration activity. I've given you example. All these an IQAC can very proactively help. IQAC can also take feedback. I'm not saying the faculty feedback by the student. Students definitely will have some issues. If you are running a college bus, if you are running a mess, if you are running a hostel, if you are running these kind of things, definitely there are needs that need to be addressed. Students will have issues. IQAC can do that. How is the student life in campus? What are the things that can be improved? IQAC can take that feedback. IQAC can get involved in all aspects of the institutional functions and play a very, very proactive role. So this is one major focus area that an IQAC can do. Now, coming to the second major focus area that an IQAC can do, quality measurement, monitoring, analysis, reporting. The IQAC can serve as the single point of contact, the nodal agency for all activities. It could be requirements of a statutory body, AICTE or whatever. It could be requirements of a regulatory body, UGC. It could be requirements of an accreditation, NBA or NAC. It could be requirements of a ranking agency, NARF. But it can be the IQAC. In fact, that is the case study that I will be taking after the break. Can be the single stop, the single point of contact for all activities. And the IQAC can build a system, can build a mechanism, build a process whereby you are collecting the data, you are consolidating the data, you are collating the data, consolidating the data, you're cleaning up the data and submitting the data. And that submission is for everything. It could be for a statutory body, AICTE requirement. It could be for a regulatory requirement. University is asking for something. University is coming for a visit. It could be for a ranking requirement. It could be for an accreditation requirement. For all these aforesaid requirements, the IQAC can be the single point of contact. It can be the custodian of all data and evidences and documents. Having a clear process wherein the data is collected, the data is collated, the data is consolidated, the data is submitted. But it doesn't end here. Since all the data is now available, everything is available with the IQAC. What all can the IQAC do? Now the IQAC can play a very proactive thing. You have all the data, you have all the evidences, meaning you know whether the data, you can validate the data because you can check the veracity of the data because you have the proof, you have the evidence. You can check the evidence and find out, oh, is it right, is it wrong? Then you can figure out. You know that. Now you know that. Now what do? You can look for patterns, you can look for trends, you can identify the benchmarks, the key metrics, and report to the management, report to the principal through the principal to the management. You can have analysis because you can do the analytics because everything you already have all the data. You are the custodian of all the data and the evidences. You are the single point of contact for all these information. Right? Since you are the single point of contact, what else do you need? You have everything with you. Look for patterns. Look for trends. Report to the management, report to the principal. So there is a very good pattern. The last 3 years of data we have looked at, and what has happened, we are finding out, sir, that the research papers are going up. There is an upward trajectory, there is an upward pattern, but there is a lower pattern with respect to the funding. It's an important insight that you are giving a key metric. Research funding going down, research papers going up. What to do? Number of patents coming down. You need to take action. Number of scholarships going down. So that there is that involvement of the diagnostics, the pointing out, the kind of flagging of issues, the flagging of problems, the flagging of those kind of issues are there, right? So that kind of second most important focus area is measuring, monitoring, analysis, and reporting. Single point of contact for all purposes. Single point of contact for all statutory body, regulatory body, accreditation body, ranking body. Collect, single custodian of all the data and evidences, collecting the data, collating the data, consolidating the data, submitting the data for everything. Making the key metrics, making the benchmarks, analyzing the benchmark, looking for patterns, and escalating it to the higher administration. With this, I will get into a break. One more thing that you can do. Another 2 minutes and then we can take a break. You have all the data, you have all the evidences, you have all the information, and information is encompassing everything. It could be academics, administration, students, everything is there. Now you have the data. Why can't the IQAC take it up? Convert that, use a content writer, use a graphics designer. Maybe the information is too much in technical jargon or in not in very good language. Employ a content writer. Change the information can be converted nicely into a by a content writer, and have enough graphics designer. Make it and convert that into a newsletter. Now that newsletter can be your window. You can send that newsletter to all your stakeholders. You can send it to your students, to your parents, and I'm sure the parents will be very happy. Some student achievement is that the parent will be the proudest person to see, oh, my ward has, my son has, or my daughter has got this, and it is projected in the college newsletter. Send it to your collaborators, to the employers. Some people may not read. Maybe somebody will delete. If you are making an e-copy, some people may not have time. That's fine. You send it to everybody. Send it to all your stakeholders. Send it to your parents. Send it to your students. Send it to your collaborators. Send it to your board of studies members. Send it to the experts who are associated with you. Send it to the industry who are employing you. Maybe all of them may not read, but some, at least that your word goes on, and this helps you in key communication to your stakeholders, and it improves your perception. There may be people who may delete. You can't stop them, but at least that will benefit you in the long run. I think I'm supposed to take a break. It's now 2:18 in my watch. So we
Yes.
when do we rejoin?
Sir, we can have a 15 minutes break and we'll rejoin at 2:35.
Yeah, that is fine. I'm here only. I will join at 2:35.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you, sir.